cool. Game 1. Winterlode versus that Scar. I'm kind of excited for this one. Because, you know, I'd say that, like, Scar and myself had quite a few battles. Quite a few good battles, I should say. During the open seasons. So I'm excited for this one, I am. So, up in the northern area, we have Winterlode in the green. And over in the southeastern area, we have that Scar in the blue. So it's going to be interesting to see how these two guys play out. As we see some pretty, very standard stuff from Winterlode. While Scar really kind of playing around today with his deck. Going for a Fox and I think that's artillery, right? I think that's what it's called. Meanwhile, Winterlode going for pretty much the basic meta comp. So it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. And right now it looks like both of them are going to have pretty much the Gentleman's 8 farm, which is nice. But going over into the overall map, it's definitely a lot of mills going around. So I imagine this going to be a really easily going to hit the tier 3s very quickly. Both probably going to end up going to 16 farm because the map is pretty dang huge. And it's just basically relying on a lot of scouting. Because that's the one thing that I've kind of figured that's kind of one of the biggest things about maps like these is that you want to scout as often as possible considering how big they are. Right now, both sides basically know what they have going on. As we do get both of them getting ready to go into their second mill. Meanwhile, Winterlode is still bringing up into the squirrels, but he does see that the second mill went down for Winterlode. So both of them bringing out there for about the same time. But Scar instead gonna opt into going into tier 2 instead of going mass squirrel, but he does tie up the squirrel count with that as he go ahead and put up his 1 farm, but instead Winterlode going up for 2. So it's like very minor things that are happening right now. That Scar really opting and teching up more so than farming up. Meanwhile, Winterlode's not really worried about it too much until now anyways, when it comes to putting up the tier 2 and just continuing the farm up as well. So the timing here is going to be interesting. Scar's kind of floating his food a little bit, but I'm sure he's going to try and use majority of that to try and match the amount of farms that Winterlode has, which he does do. Actually, he goes a little bit ahead with a 4th one. And now he's going to rely on trying to get some toads. So he does have his 2 falcons. He is slowly but surely growing his squirrels. Meanwhile, Winterlode is just squirreling on up with a tad bit of skunks. So it's going to be interesting as we do see the badger come into play. I'm pretty sure he'll probably put down a pigeon here. No, he's going to go for another falcon. Okay. So Scar has no idea about this badger, but he's going to scout right now. So he's going to see what his opponent is cooking in the KSR soup. He does see, I believe he saw that. I'm pretty sure he saw that. Did he? Yeah, he did. Okay, making sure. There we go. Okay, sorry. But yeah, now he's gonna go ahead and bring up some arties, which is an interesting response. He does put down the fox. The fox is ready, but I was gonna say I would rather him sell the artie so that he can go ahead and bring up the fox getting ready, because the badge is on his way and she is ready to go and rev up very quickly. We do see some pigeons coming out. I think right now when it comes to advantage, it's kind of hard to tell. but I probably would give it to Winterload because of the more squirrel count and with the combination of the pigeons as well. Not to mention the fact that we do have our Badger ready to go. Cams are coming in. We got full 16 farms for both sides. We do have the Fox out, so it'll be interesting to see how that plays. But if anything, the Toads have to hit those targets really well, but I would not be surprised if... Well, it depends. It really depends. But the Fox is coming into play as both do get deleted there, so very good, nice warning shots there for Scar. But now he's just going ahead and get as many tier 1 as possible because since he does see the Badger coming into play, it's going to be interesting. He's probably going to go for that campfire to go ahead and extend. But here comes the Fox. The battle ensues. He's going to try to keep that Fox protected as much as possible. And also some very interesting placement for the Arties as well. Really relying on the trees to protect them. Because I don't know if Falcons are able to attack those structures. I'm not too sure about that one. But yeah, but now Winterlow really stacking up, going up to 24 squirrels. But now he's going to go ahead and set up the second mill as the mills are starting to dry on up. And that's going to be a huge advantage over as the Fox goes down to the cams. Oh no, that's not good at all. Like at this point, I think Winterlow's going to have to go ahead and just take advantage of that. No worried about the pesky Fox trying to take in some good shots. And there's so many juicy units to rev up on. And he's going to do just that. And right now, we're starting to get a quick rev up. And it looks like that this is going to be a very, very ugly match there for Scar. As Winterlow does take out one of the mills. The Artie's being taken down is just going to town. But the Badger is low, but there's not really much that he can do for that. Unless that one Artie comes in clutch. But it's a big stretch. We do get another Fox, so Winterlow does decide to go ahead and retreat. Retreat. Oh my god, I can't speak today. But now with the other Fox, he does push back. But that's a huge, huge blow for Scar here. He is going to try and bring up as much tier 1 as he can. Yeah, it looks like Winterload is probably going to continue to stack up with what he got, just waiting for all of his units to go back up into full health so he can go ahead and attack again. So that Scar does have a little bit of an opportunity to go and get as much, to replenish as much of his army as he can. Because I don't imagine him getting that mill is going to be feasible, considering that Winterlow can just go ahead and mow it on down very quickly. But it looks like Scar is see if he can try and take out the campfire. But I don't think it's going to do much here, as Winterlow is just going to just go up and delete the entire moles. But it does go down, so that's clearly going to be something. But of course, that was a nice little distraction there from Scar, as he does take out some of the pigs that are available. So he's just being a little bit of a gremlin, but unfortunately he can just easily go ahead and bring up the pigs up, since he does have plenty of food to get that thing down. However, he does some quick selling. And he does buy that mill, which I'm a little bit surprised. But it looks like Winterload... Oh, I thought he was going to go... Yeah, he is going to go this way. And going after that Warren is going to give him that warning. So I would imagine him going this way. No, where is he going? Is he base racing? I think he's base racing. Okay. If that's the case, then he might as well buy a mill right now, but I don't think it's gonna be too little too late. Yeah, that's basically game. There goes the second mill. I don't think... Yeah, I think this is pretty much game 1. It's gonna go over to Winterlode. Really good effort there. It was a nice attempt for the base race. I'm not gonna lie. It was definitely a good attempt. But at the end of the day, it looks like Scar was not able to get the first game. The first game will end up going to Winterlode. Yep. So Winter 1-0, making sure that we are catching up. All right, so on to game 2. All right, going over to the south side, we got Winterlode on the green. Meanwhile, up north, we got that Scar in the blue. So, Winterlode completely changing his entire deck. And Scar has also changed the entire deck as well. So, both of them really trying to go for a little bit of surprise, trying to see what can be good for their strategies. And that's the one thing I like about Tooth and Tail as well, is like there's so many strategies you can really come up with as a game, and something I gotta improve as well, trying to be more intertwined with some of these games for sure. But you know, it is what it is. So with that in mind, I think Scar was just trying to make sure that there weren't any shenanigans going on, but obviously with neither team having moles, no shenanigans are going to happen whatsoever. But looking at the entire map here, I'd say it's certainly interesting for sure. I would say Winterlode definitely has the easier time of getting a mill, obviously, with it just being right there. But it is a little bit forward. While that Scar, he does have kind of a nice little pocket one. Though it is prone to cliff abuse, so he has to be careful because... Well, actually, no. With the fact that Winterlode does not have any flying units, it won't be as big of an issue. But he could easily just like walk into there so that his units could shoot. But at the end of the day, that's still kind of a hassle. Anyways, Winterlode does go up for the second mill. Meanwhile, Scar's just gonna tech on up. Not gonna worry about getting that second mill quite yet. But Winterlode is going to guard up, which honestly I haven't really seen this be used really that much at all. But with the combinations of... Wow, he's really trying to fortify to make sure he gets his 16 farmed. You know, I've never really seen anyone use this one before, especially in this. So it's very curious to see how well this goes. Because even though it will slow down the commander, he can easily go... Well, of course, as I say this, he's going to go for the boar. Honestly, I would probably at least sell one of the squirrels to try and bring up the falcon, but, you know, I don't know much. I probably wouldn't do it. But right now, Scar's going to go into cams. And he's going to go ahead and put up some mines as well to try and slow down his opponent, but... Yeah, that's going to be very pesky to deal with these... to deal with this wall of thorn, as I would say. But of course, Winterlode was looking to attack, but now he's going to go ahead and try and take his time. but he is going to build some more Squirrel Warrens to go ahead and go for an aggressive attack to try and take this game early. But he does see the cams, and he is going to immediately retweet back, sell over the Warrens, and really just kind of refocus on his strategy. He's probably going to go ahead and continue to build. He decides to build up an Artie, actually. How about with his defensive? But I'm honestly a little bit surprised that Scars hasn't decided to go for the flying units, because even though that these spikes, I forgot what they're called, but these do slow down ground units, I do believe that it has no effect on flying units. But we're going to see the boar come out to play, as he is going to try and delete a majority of the squirrels. And he's able to delete everything. So now he's going to go ahead and go after this Artie, making sure to get rid of it. And he does just that. Though the boar does end up dying, so even though he's able to take out majority of the front lines, I don't think that was the best move there. Because now all Winterlord has to do is just build up his Wall of Thorn once again and build the Artie, and he's just back to where he was. So I don't think that was the best attack for Scar. Like, he was able to wipe out the entirety of the unit, but that Artie just pretty much deleted everything else. And I think that really goes to show that Falcons could have really helped here. He does bring down the Falcons as I say that. Meanwhile, Scar is going to be able to bring a boar back real quick. But now Winterlode has to counter with the Fox. I don't know how much of a counter that will be, really. But it is going to be interesting to see how this plays out. But he is going to go attack again, but with, again, no Falcons whatsoever. So, yeah, he's going to have to be careful because that Fox can easily take him out. So he's going to have to pull back. Because that's the one thing about Foxes. They are pesky as heck. You got to be real careful with those things. And so now he's looking to... I believe he's trying to prevent his opponent from trying to do any cliff abuse, but I don't think he has to worry about it too much. Considering the fact that the only Tier 2 Winter has is the Skunks, and they have not been used whatsoever. I think I heard a third mill somewhere. Yes, right here. So Winterlode's bringing up his third mill. And I'm sure this will give him the excuse to extend. Yep. Nice. So he's extending. He's putting another Artie down. I probably would put even more. Yep, he is going to put more Walls of Thorn. I like to call them, personally. So right now, Winterlode is really just building a wall at this point. Really just emphasizing, just really trying to show as much as he can to split off Scar from getting any kind of advantage over him. And we do get a second Fox coming as well, as the Artie is continuing being a little bit of a gremlin. Fox doing the same thing. Just barbed wire? Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why my brain can't think of barbed wire for some reason. But I think Wall of Thorns sounds cool. But yeah, Winterlode is going ahead and build up for his third mill. And it's looking kind of a bit rough here for Scar, because he does have an army coming up, but it's just the defense is really strong here. In-game joke? Interesting. Featherwire. Okay. Is it because it has, like, it's very easy to destroy, most likely? But I don't know. But yeah, it's gonna be hard to penetrate, which is why I probably would have gone for the Falcons a lot earlier than what Scar has done in this predicament. But at this point, we got Masked Squirrel, 2 Foxes coming. I'm honestly interested to see. He does see that Scar has built his 3rd as well. So I'm curious to see if he's going to go ahead and... He does have the 2nd Fox out. So I think he's going to go ahead and start going after Scar. But instead he's going to continue building up. And now he's going to bring up an owl. So it's going to be... He's just trying to find some kind of way to get through the defenses. But those arties are really pesky. They're like very, very pesky. And now Scar has a Fox of his own. Which is really good. But, you know, 2 Foxes are always better than 1. So he's got to really be careful here. He's really on the edge. Because there's not much that he can really do. Because 2 Foxes are not fun. They're not fun to deal with. And going after those 3 pigs is not going to matter that much either. Because of the fact that they were already so low at this point in the game. But right now they have to slowly build something. Because Winterlode's just going to continue relying on that 3rd mill. Scar hasn't... Well, he now has decided to put 2 more pigs up. But of course, just even taking a second away for his army, especially that close up to the enemy lines, is just, you're just asking for trouble for easy pickings for these Foxes. And right now, I'm honestly not too sure what Scar can really do here to try and break this. But now the owl is out. We're seeing a mass. We're seeing 12 squirrels compared to Winter's 18, plus the owl with these pesky little mice, as well as 2 foxes. And right now both teams are kind of in a stalemate. And honestly, it's going to be interesting to see what happens here, because both sides are probably going to farm up, but we see another owl coming out. And that's kind of like one of the dangers of these type of games, having this big of a map, as well as kind of being blocked off. You're basically giving your opponent like anything. They can do basically whatever they want, and that's going to be more of the advantage for the more experienced player. From personal the previous battles of my own, I know that that's definitely going to be an advantage, because if you don't have any way to scout what your opponent is doing, because I don't even know if he knows that there's another tier 3 there. Like that's how important it is to really go get the scouts. But considering the fact that he's kind of cock-blocked at this point, it's very difficult for him to really figure out what his opponent's going to do next. But clearly, Winterlode is going to continue to build up the owls to try and wrap this game up, as he sets up for as he build up his 3rd owl warren. Where is that 3rd owl warren? Yeah, right around here. It's just gonna look not gonna look very well. He does decide to sell. I don't know what he just sold, but he did sell quite a bit to try and get that 2nd boar out. But it's gonna be interesting to see what happens here. Like, a 2nd boar could possibly work, but at the same time, it's gonna be a lot with 3 owls now out and about, ready to just go ahead and take out that campfire. Also getting a 4th one. And now we're finally seeing Scar doing some scouting. I haven't seen him done in a very long time, but he does get some information of what's going on. But yeah, this is a very long match, but he's trying to build as many Falcons as possible to tag in. But I think the combination of the owls and the fox, that's gonna be hard to break through. Actually, where are the foxes? Oh, there they are. I'm just blind. But yeah, right now it seems like that they're trying to get some things going. He's gonna go and try to get these cams to do some work, but obviously Winter's not letting them do that. So instead he's gonna go ahead and get his entire army out here to try and take out that mill. But he's gotta be very careful. It's like it just seems like everyone's on a stalemate, but having 2 boars is helping out because it's just essentially deleting these mice from existence. But now he's probably gonna lose his cams almost immediately. But yeah, right now he's just trying to find something, just the smallest cracks to get into it. But Winter's just chilling at this point. He could probably, yeah, he's already got a 5th owl coming out, so he's just waiting for the moment to go ahead and overwhelm Winterload with a bunch of mice. But I think the only way that can work is if he tries to take out as much of the tier 1 as he can, which he is able to do so. So now all that's left is just all the Falcons in the world. But it would be really nice if Scar can get there, but one board goes down, the other board's about to go down, it looks like. But that's really kind of the name of the game, because if that board does go down, it's I'm not sure if Scar's even gonna come back from this. But yeah. So right now he's just trying to get something going on, because that 3rd mill is basically depleted. Like it's gone to a point where it's just one more battle, because both teams are actually about to be starving. Actually, yeah, Scar's definitely looking like he's gonna starve first, as he's only got 1 pig left and it's basically about gone. So I think, yep, there it is. Scar is now starving, so he really needs to just go ahead and just go for one last hurrah, because Winterload is just chilling with 7 owls on the way. So yep, here we go. This is the final battle. He's only got about 30 seconds left, and he needs to go ahead and take on one of the mills and try to make it one of his own, but his commander is died. So I think that just about does it. That essentially wraps up game 2, and it's and it's gonna go over to Winterload, and that was, oh my god, oh my lord, that's 20 minutes. Holy, and that was only game 2. Jeez Louise. That was like the longest match. So Winter is up 2-0. Holy smokes. Like, I'm pretty sure with the VOD, I'm people are gonna really be like, "My goodness, this is gonna be one of those like very close matchups." But, whew, yeah, that's definitely one of the longest games that I've ever witnessed. But with that in mind, Scar and Winterload, game number 3. As we do see Winterload in the east up 2-0 in the green. And can Scar actually get one here as he is coming out from the west in the red? So, we get another major shakeup here for Scar. This time, going to be rocking the Owls and the Snake with the MG. With a tad of Skunk and Squall. While Winterload also changing it up with the Squirrel, Toad, Mole with only Ferret for a tier 2 and then the Boar in the MG. Now this map is, I believe I would say it's still a decent sized map. Both players have easy access to a mill or two, especially over here for Scar, as one is kind of in the high ground. Well, both are in the high ground, but they're a little bit more forward. This is definitely can be taken pretty easily. Meanwhile, for Winterload, either one of these could work for sure. But looks like both teams once again going for the Gentleman's 8-bar. Actually, Winter is deciding to be a Gremlin, actually. Never mind. Gotta sell, and that's probably the best that he could do. That's probably... Yeah, he's probably gonna go for it and take out a couple of... Yeah, because a pig is definitely gone here. This... Oh boy, this is not a great start for Scar here, as he loses 2 farms. But he does have finally got some kind of backup, but he's going to have to go and rely on the pigs. He does sell, and Winterlow does go home. Really good advantage here for Winter, as he does take out 2 of those pigs. And he's going to try and prevent Scar from doing any sort of attack, as 4 MGs goes down. And Scar is gonna actually push through and try and go for this attack. Like, obviously he really wants to be frustrated, but instead he does go home and, you know, takes his back. So of course, obviously Winterlow's gonna sell all these MGs once again and just build up. So really, really good opening here for Winterload. This is darn near perfect, I would say. Meanwhile, Scar's going to have to go ahead and have some catching up to do, as he decided to go heavy on the tier 2 early, as he does open up for a second windmill to try and farm up quickly to go ahead and get these units going. But instead, he does sell the Snake and goes for an MG instead. Though it's a little bit of a weird spot for an MG. Because, like, I know that you want to protect your MG with units, but at the same time, it does need to, you know, kind of be out there and about to do some kind of damage. Because even though the tier 1s are coming and the Skunk can be of use, the Toads are just going to flat out destroy that mill almost automatically. So I would say that the MG probably should have been out and about a little bit more, because, like, the MG was completely useless in that battle. But Scar, once again, trying to see if he can get something out of this. But considering the size of this army, I don't think it's going to work out. So yeah, he does decide to go home. But he's going to lose units on the way over, especially with him holding. Because that's kind of the one big thing when it comes to, like, holding while retreating, is you're going to lose units on the way. But right now, as both teams do decide to go home and try and get things fixed up, we're seeing another wall of MGs by Winterload. Meanwhile, Scar's going to have to try and see if he can have more into it. And he doesn't really have a good counter for the MGs outside of the moles. But even then, the moles will probably get mowed down very easily with the amount of MGs that are available for Winterload. So it's certainly a challenge here. Because the only type of air is Owl, and all the Owl does just spits up the mice, and they just become a ground game for attacks. As the 5 minutes for each side's pigs have been up, we do see Scar floating a little bit, so he's going to have to do something. He does decide to go for more tier 2, as well as some squirrels, and another MG. He does push it out, but again, it's being blocked by a lot of the Warrens. So, interesting placement there for Scar. Meanwhile, we do see Winterload just ready to go ahead and go for a very lethal attack here. And it's going to be hard for Scar to get ready for it, because the superior numbers of squirrels is going to go to Winterload. Plus the tier 3, it's going to be difficult to go down. And there's not much the skunk gas can take out majority of the tier 1. But I think he's just going to go aim for getting rid of these skunks, and he is gonna do just that. And he has to go home but well, maybe not. Is he gonna continue to go home, or is he gonna continue going with the fight? Because he is waiting for some of the tier 1 to come back to go for another attack, and it's really looking like that he's just gonna go ahead and feed the army over to the squirrels a little bit. But he does decide to eventually go back home to go ahead and think of a new game plan to go ahead and try and wrap this up. Meanwhile, we do see the Owl come out for Scar. We'll see how that will come into play as Scar tries to go and fully farm up on his second mill. Meanwhile, Winterload is already getting majority of his, as he does put down his 8th. Right now, it looks like Scar wants to go in and fight, but I think he starts realizing that he's trying to get some kind of cliff abuse started. Of course, he had to get the Owl a little bit closer, but it didn't really do much there to affect. So he does decide to go ahead and put out an MG. Oh, okay, never mind. He does take away the MG and try to squirrel up. But I think at this point, you probably do need to see if you can try and get another Owl out, because having one is not really going to cut it for this comp, because they could just be easy food for the boar. As, once again, we're seeing Winterlow kind of playing around a little bit in the opening. And we're still awaiting. And right now, it's looking like that the number of ferrets coming into play. Just trying to see if they can get some kind of an attack going. And so far so good. And it looks like Winterlord is finally able to go ahead and breach in. And it looks like that's going to be game, as Winterlord does take the series 3-0.